Hey there, this is Bo. I am so excited, and I'm proud of you. You've made a great decision on moving forward with the company and making that decision to really get your life where you want it. Um, Life is so short if you think about it, and the fact that you're making that decision now just shows that you're ready to change your life for the better. You're ready to add that stream that provides you three things. If you think about it, what does this income stream provide you? It provides you three types of freedom. What are those, you think? Well, what obviously comes to mind is hopefully financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom, right? Financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom. That means you can be working anywhere in the world and making money anywhere you are in the world and having the money to travel the world. And when you're traveling, having that free time to enjoy your travels. Okay. But there's something that you have to understand before you even get to this point of freedom. And it's the way that you look at money. The way that you look at money is the foundation of you ever achieving freedom. Okay. You have to understand money in a certain way. If you don't understand money in this certain way, you're really never going to achieve cash flow freedom, especially from a home business. Okay. Let me give you some examples. When you look at debt, all right, you think about your current debt or where you're at financially. Okay. In our lives, there's two types of debt. There's good debt and there's bad debt. Okay. I want you to write this down. Bad debt means the following. It goes, if you buy something and get a loan for it or use a credit card for it, if it goes down in value, the item that you bought, if it goes down in value and does not generate income to pay for itself, then it's classified as bad debt. Okay? What is good debt? It's the complete opposite. If you buy something on a loan or a credit card and that item goes up in value and generates income to pay for that debt or that monthly payment, that is classified as good debt. Okay? Now, here's the gray area. The gray area is what if you buy something on debt that goes up in value, but it doesn't generate an income to pay for itself per month? That's also classified as bad debt. Okay? So there could be some argument on that. It's a little bit of a gray area. But if you talk to the financial experts of our time, that's classified as bad debt. Okay. So let me give you some examples of debt. I'm going to ask you what you think they are. Let's say that you're starting out, you've got an apartment and you have to furnish your apartment. You've got to get couches and refrigerator and washer and dryer and TVs and things like that. And you go get a loan or you go to the furniture store to buy your couch and chair and your coffee table. And let's say it's $2,000 and they've got a special, it's 5% over 2 years or 15% over 2 years. And you go and get that item. The way you look at that, if you're going to get a loan for that, are those products going to go up or down in value? They're going to go down in value. Are they going to pay for themselves? Absolutely not. They don't generate an income to pay for themselves. So that's classified as bad debt. Okay. What about a car? Everybody gets typically when they start out gets a loan for a car, right? So let's say you go out and get an SUV for $40,000. Okay. And you go get that SUV and you go to the car dealership and you apply for the loan and they say, well, your payment's going to be around what, $700, $800 a month. And you're like, I can afford that monthly payment. I can afford that. So I'm going to get that car, right? So you get a loan for $40,000 on an SUV and your payment per month is $800. My first question to you is that going to go up or down in value? What happens to that vehicle when you drive it off the lot? It goes down in value, doesn't it? By 10, maybe 20%, depending on the model. Okay. Well, what about per month? Does it pay for itself? Well, unless it's a taxi or a limo, or maybe a farm truck, or some other type of truck that you have to use for, or vehicle that you have to use for a business, it's not going to pay for itself, is it? Okay. And even if it is a vehicle that is used for business, it's still bad debt because it goes down in value. So it goes down in value and does not pay for itself. But in your mind, you're like, I can see it, I can feel it, I can touch it, it's here. But as a financial person and understanding finances and black or white finances here, the top 3% of people never finance their own cars because it's bad debt. They pay cash for it. Okay. Buying a car is bad debt if you're getting a loan for it. Okay. Let's make sure we're clear on that. What about a home mortgage? Now here's a good one. You go get a 30-year home mortgage on a $200,000 home, let's say. Well, you buy that home looking at it and talking to the bank, you have good credit, and the bank comes back and says, okay, your payment's going to be $1,200 a month. You're like, oh yeah, I can afford that. That's fantastic. And I have a question for you. Is that home going to go up or down in value? You buy a home, right? It's a good location, good neighborhood. Is that home going to go up or down in value? Well, typically when you buy a home, it's going to go up in value, isn't it? And you get a 30-year mortgage on that. Well, is that home going to pay for itself every month? Is that home going to give you an income of $1,200 plus taxes and insurance and maintenance to pay for itself every month? No, it's not. Not unless you're living in one room and you're renting out 3 or 4 others. Okay. Typically, a home is the worst debt because you're putting yourself into 30 years of modern day slavery and modern day bondage, aren't you? Right? And over those 30 years, you're going to pay triple what that home is worth if you pay it off over 30 years on the mortgage payment plan. It's actually horrible when you think about it. Okay. So you don't want to go rent because you're throwing money away when you start out. Think about what you're going to teach your kids. What are you going to teach your kids when they get out of college? Go rent, throw your money away, buy a house and get into modern day slavery and bondage? Well, you don't want to tell them either one of those. So I'm going to teach you something here. Here's what I'm going to teach my son. I'm going to teach him when he gets out of college or even high school, I'm going to help him buy a duplex. Now, what's a duplex? A duplex is one roof. There's 2 dwellings, right? Think of like a townhome with one roof, 2 side by side, one roof. There's a family on this side, a family on the next side. Okay. So what if you buy a duplex and you live in one side? It's a $200,000 duplex. You live in one side, your payment's still $1,200 a month. So you live in one side. What do you do with the other side? You rent it out for how much? How about $1,200 a month? Now I have a question for you. Will that duplex, if it's in a good location, go up or down in value? Up, that's right. Does it pay for itself every month? Well, if you're renting it out, it's paying for itself. Therefore, you're living for free and you're building equity. Okay. This is how people who are beginning to build wealth start thinking. Okay. So they're thinking from a cash flow perspective. You go out and get $200,000 of debt just to break even and build equity. But then when you come and you look at a home business, you're like, oh my gosh, they want $2,000 or $10,000 or $30,000 or $60,000 to start a business. I can't afford that. But when you look at going buying that SUV for $40,000 just because of the way you've been conditioned, you look at that as affordable. I'm not blaming you. It's just the way the commercials and society and the 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 retail industry of our world today is conditioning you. Think about it. You would be more apt to go buy a $40,000 SUV on credit or a loan than you would be to start a business for $40,000, right? Because you don't think you have or can get the money. The problem is, it's the way that people are looking at money, okay? And hopefully you don't fall in this category, but I'll be honest with you, I did when I started until I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad Cash Flow Quadrant. I started understanding things from a cash flow perspective, okay? So if you look at a business, let's take a $50,000 business, right? Even this business at the higher levels. And you look at, okay, well, what if I get started for 50,000, what am I really risking? Okay? It's that monthly payment. With our payment, our portfolios and the way we get people money, you're typically looking at about 1% to 1.5% payment per month. So at 50,000, that's $500. Okay, so we're just doing easy math. So $500 a month, you're risking $500 a month to possibly make $15,000 to $30,000 a month, and you would rather go get an SUV for $700 or $800 a month and make nothing and it go down in value. But when it comes to looking at a business for $50,000 or $500 a month, you cringe at that and you're scared of that because you don't think it will work. It's absurd. It honestly is. And I'm not saying that you're an absurd person. I'm just saying that the way most people look at it is backwards. That's the way I looked at it when I got started. Because I just didn't understand. Okay. So it's the way you look at money is from a cash flow perspective. So the way you look at a business now that I'm an entrepreneur and I've started, multiple businesses and done well, I've failed some too. But if I look at $100,000 to start a business, $100,000 block of money as an entrepreneur, I don't think, oh my gosh, 100,000, I'm going to write a check for $100,000. I don't think like that. The way I think is, okay, that's 1,000 a month for 10 years. What is that 1,000 a month going to get me per month? Well, 1,000 a month plus the operations, et cetera, and I can make $10,000 a month profit. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Can I make 10% of what I get a loan for per month in profit? And if I can, it's a good deal, right? So how do you look at the home business? It's the same way. You have to come at it from a cash flow perspective. You can't say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. You have to say, okay, cash flow, cash flow. If my payment's $500 a month and I have to spend a little bit of money on marketing, a couple $100, maybe $500 a month, and I got a couple of these fees per month that the company's charging, $100 or $150 a month, and my total out of pocket per month is going to be right around $1,100 or $1,200 per month. You got three expenses. You got the company fees, right? Monthly fees from the company that they charge that you have to pay to operate, to have your website links and all your tracking, all your conversion data, see where all your leads are, and your websites and affiliate links to constantly be updated, your autoresponders, all of those things, right? You got to pay for that. Those are hard costs. Okay, that's operational cost. You have to have that to have your business. Number two, marketing. Well, there's free and there's paid marketing, isn't there? Okay, let's say you do, a lot of free stuff on social media because your budget's limited, but you also want to have some paid traffic. So you're constantly building your list. You're building your asset. This is the thing that goes up in value is your list. You've heard the fortune is in the list. Fortune is in the list. Fortune is in the list. For every person that opts into your website, that builds your business value by typically between $3 and $5 per person. Okay, so over 5 years, if you've got 100,000 people that have opted into your list, your business is now worth an average of, say, $4 a person or $400,000. Okay. So that marketing expense, let's say a 500, you're doing some free and some paid. Let's say you're spending 500. That's your marketing expense. That's your second expense. What's number one? Your business, your company that you're paying for the monthly fees, right? And then your marketing, number two. What's number three? Number three is your loan payment, or if you're an accountant, it's called debt service. That's your debt service fee. Well, if you go out and get a loan or put credit together or credit cards for 50,000, you've got to pay those back per month, right? That's not a bad thing if you're using it for the right reasons. The right reason is building a business to allow, in your mind, you have to separate this from personal, okay? You have your credit cards over here, or your loan or your line of credit, or however you get your money, borrow from your 401k or IRA, or use some investments, whatever. But this is its own business box over here. You don't have to necessarily go get a business name and all that, but mentally you separate it. This is my business house. That's separate from your personal house. Okay. So this business house is costing you maybe $1,100 or $1,200 a month. Okay. Or is it? You can't look at, oh my God, 50,000, I've got all this debt. Well, your business is now responsible for paying that debt. Okay. So the business that you're operating, the income from your clients, okay, is paying for that debt, paying it off, paying for your expenses, giving you a cash flow profit. It's called the OPM principle, other people's money. And it's okay to use other people's money as long as you're building an asset that's paying for itself and making a profit. Okay? So most people would rather go buy that SUV in a loan versus starting a business, or go borrow $200,000 on an investment property, a duplex. If they don't live in it, rent both sides out and maybe make $1,000. I don't want to have to go borrow $200,000 to make $1,000. I'd rather go borrow 50,000 and make 30,000 a month. Wouldn't you? It's just the way you look at it. It's cash flow, right? So the OPM principle, other people's money, use the bank's money to pay for your business. And how do you pay the bank back? You pay the bank back and your expenses with the money that you make from your business, therefore never touching your own money. So you come into it literally with zero down, and everything you make is profit after your expenses per month. It's a beautiful thing. My first month of marketing, so I went through the steps and with my coaches and my sponsors and all that, just like you are, for the first 3 to 5 weeks. And then I started marketing. Once I started marketing, and I bought into all the higher products, I really did, because I saw that immediately. I'd read the book, I'd been a financial advisor, I understood it. I wanted to get that higher income, right? So I came in, I started marketing. My first month, I made a $3,000 cash flow profit. Okay. Because I got that money, those loans from the credit cards and the bank and my uncle, 7 different ways I got money. It was crazy. I was crazy. I just wanted to cut line and make money fast. Don't you? I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to wait around to reinvest. I wanted it now. And so that's what I did. Right. And so I got the money. And so I didn't have a payment on those loans and credit cards for 30, 45 days. Okay. So that first month, man, I got out there and I got after it. I did what I was told, and I made, 3 or 4 sales, but it was a $3,000 profit that month. My second month, I made 3 more $1,000 profit sales, and I made a second level. I made $5,000. I made $8,000 my second month. If it wasn't for that higher end profit that second month, it would have been tough for me. My third month, I made a cash flow profit of $27,000. because of my positioning in the first month. I paid most of my loan back on that month, and I kept a little bit. My fourth month, I made $44,000 my fourth month. I paid all of my debt back, right? And I've been operating in this industry, this business, for almost 13 years, debt free. Okay? Because I positioned and understood cash flow from the beginning is why I made that money. So I want you to reflect and I want you to really analyze, how are you looking at money? You have to get the big lump sum out of your head. And you have to start looking at things from cash flow and operating capital. Okay. What is it costing you per month? What is the business expenses per month? And what is the income per month? Okay. The way you get to the big income is obviously the higher end products. But you're not going to be positioned at the higher end products unless you understand cash flow, because you'll be too scared. Okay. So you've got to get over that. If you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to get over that sting of the employee mindset of everything's paid for you, because this is not being an employee. You're now an entrepreneur. Okay. Every entrepreneur needs help to get their start. You know, a cosigner, a loan from a family member, credit cards, a loan from the bank, whatever it takes. If you want to get to that higher end profit fast, these are the things that you're going to have to do. Okay. You're going to have to think like this. And it's fun. When you start looking at business deals from this perspective, you can now start seeing why companies pay billions of dollars for businesses. They're buying the cash flow. Okay. To start a business for less than $100,000, you might see franchises. Well, that franchise fee is only $20,000. That's the franchise fee. But if you look at the real numbers to start up that franchise, it's going to be between $150,000 and $650,000. And that's just a Subway franchise, right? Or a sandwich shop franchise. Why? Because you've got to have real estate, furniture, fixtures, and expenses. You've got to have the labor, the operating capital, the rent. You have to plan all that out, have 6 months worth of cash reserve, right? So here you're getting in for nothing to be able to make just as much or more than they would make at the Subway franchise. Okay, a good Subway may be between $3,000 and $10,000 per month in profit, and it's costing them $30,000 or $25,000 a month to operate. Here, you're talking about $1,000, $1,200 a month to operate, and the potential to make $15,000 to $30,000 or $50,000 a month. That's why you're here, to make those margins. You're not going to make those margins in brick and mortar, especially that fast, for that cheap. Here you can, if you look at things from cash flow. Get out of your own way and start looking at how much things cost per month versus allowing the big numbers to scare you. Can you do that? Can you start looking at a business more favorable than you are an SUV or a car? Can you do that? I think you can, and I think you're getting the concept. Look at this from cash flow perspective. Cash flow perspective. Other people's money to make me money, so I never have to worry about not having time with my kids or not being able to travel or not having the financial freedom that I deserve. I made that decision when I was 24 years old, and it's allowed me to travel the world and enjoy the most amazing life ever because of that decision and that understanding, really. I hope now you got a better glimpse into understanding things from a cash flow perspective. Okay? You make it a great day. You absolutely deserve it. And I'll see you on the calls.